Good morning, everyone, and welcome into Rounding the Bases Live, presented by Enterprise Bank and Trust. Hashtag no stopping you. Episode 107. Hope your Tuesday is off to a good start. Mine certainly is. Got this from a recent guest, Band of Angels shirt, because it seemed appropriate. There'll be a music theme today, and Band of Angels, the way that Mike Meyer and their organization are able to put instruments in the hands of kids who might not normally be able to do that is one of the really amazing causes here in our area in Kansas City. And just to see those stories of the way these kids who maybe couldn't afford that instrument but suddenly find that path of music is truly, truly amazing. And so, my buddy Mike sent me this shirt, and I thought, you send it to me, I'll wear it. But when it's a great cause like that, even more so. So Mike might be watching. He's a regular on this one. Mike, if you're watching, I've got a guest that I think that you're really going to enjoy today. Do want to thank my friends for helping out with the KCAV Studio, Kansas City Audio Visual. They can take care of all of your needs, big, small, whatever it is. The largest of companies, they do projects like that. And every now and then they'll help out a little guy like me. Okay, I want to get right to my guest. She is in Nashville. She is someone that I've had the chance to get to know, I'd say over the last probably couple of months or so, last few months, more than 2 months. Shantell Ogden is a woman who wears many hats. She's got her marketing hat, she's got her music hat, and she has her, I would say, her philanthropy or her personal cause. We'll get into that in just a moment. She's also a phenomenal personality, super cool and smart. I don't know. What else can I say in terms of nice adjectives? Shantell, good morning.
Good morning. How are you, Joel?
I'm doing well. And I mentioned the music intro because we actually may have some live music coming up on the show a little bit later. I know how important music is to you, your life, and also in helping others. So we'll get there in a second. But first and foremost, tell me how things are going down there in Nashville.
Things are going pretty well. Of course, this has been a very hard time for the music industry, as you can imagine, and Nashville being such a tourist town. It's been a struggle, but I think hopefully we are starting to open up a little bit again down on Broadway, where a lot of the live music happens. So I'm hopeful. Nashville's been through a lot this year. We had the tornado, and then immediately after, the virus hit. So it's been a hard year for Nashville, but the folks around here, much like those in Kansas City, are very resilient.
No question about it. And I think that's true of most communities. There's certainly, and anyone that's been there knows that there's just this beautiful spirit to Nashville, which takes place, I know, beyond just Broadway, although many of us tourists love to just hang out around Broadway. I think I told you, my family and I, we were passing through Nashville, driving to Florida for spring break, and that was right as the pandemic was hitting. And so that was our spot to stop and go grab lunch. And it was a Friday afternoon. You could see some life there, but you could also see it wasn't the same either. And so that was at the early stages, and I know where things are at now. Really, I want to talk about this amazing project that you're working on, and certainly your music career. But let me just cover the marketing side of it too, because I have learned very quickly that you have this amazing marketing mind. So tell me about your marketing background and that part of life.
Yeah, so really for me, Joel, it started as a kid. I was always a storyteller. I was always making up stories. I was always creating things. And I think that love of storytelling really has been at the core of everything I've done professionally and personally, both in the business world, because as you know, marketing is really where you do tell the story. You tell the story of the company, you tell the story of the products. And then also in music, obviously in writing music, storytelling is really the key to hopefully what is a great song.
So when we talk about Shantell, and she and I actually had a chance to meet, and I don't know if I told him. I'll send him a copy of this, but Randy Powell, who is one of the coolest guys that I have met in Kansas City, connected Shantell and I think that you would certainly understand that he has this way of connecting people and telling stories. And you mentioned it, you're a storyteller. I think, and I don't know this for sure, I don't know if music is the number one passion in life, but I know that it's a major passion of yours. So tell me about the music background. And I know I mentioned before that we'll get a little bit of the song in a little bit. First, let's talk about the music background, and then I want to talk about what you're doing, because it's certainly something that has the chance to change lives.
So my love of music really started at an early age. So my grandpa and my dad, who could not carry a tune in a bucket, either one of them, we used to ride horses because I grew up in rural Utah. And when the three of us would go riding horses, my grandpa would always start to sing some old Western tune. And so we would all sing along, and that was really the fabric of my growing up in such a beautiful place in Utah. So we always had music going on. It was always a part of our family. My mom used to listen to the Bee Gees when we cleaned the house. And still to this day, I turn on a Bee Gees record when I get ready to do some cleaning at my house. So it was always just there. And I played piano for years growing up. And then I started to realize when I got a little older, piano's not a portable instrument. So I picked up the guitar. And when I went to college and to study business, the guys next door to my apartment were all really cute, and they played guitar. And I thought, this is perfect. I'm going to go get to know those guys and learn to play guitar. And so it was shortly thereafter that I kind of realized that all the writing I'd been doing and the storytelling I'd been doing, I could merge that with music. And so it was a really interesting moment in my life where I felt like I was slipping on a pair of comfortable jeans. It just was so natural to me. And really grateful for the journey that I've had in music. Joel, I've been able to play all over the world. I've played in England. I've played in the United States in different places. But really, more importantly, the people that I've met through this journey has been incredible. I decided after a couple of years doing music that I wanted to learn more about it. So I went to Berklee College of Music in Boston, spent a couple wonderful years there. And then I moved to Nashville because I had the goal of becoming a better songwriter. And those of you who have been to Nashville know that this is really the land of the song. And I've been very blessed to be able to be in the room with some incredible songwriters who have written hits that I grew up listening to. And in those moments, I've just really felt so incredibly grateful for this journey of music. I think it's a key purpose in my life. And I don't think many people out there, hopefully everybody can find that thing that's their calling, but I certainly am grateful that I have found that in music.
It's an amazing path though, too, because you didn't go to Berklee right out of high school, right? I mean, but that is, and I think anybody that has heard of that school knows it's one of the elite music schools in the world. I know, and I think I told you this once, that in normal years, at least when there's not a pandemic and I'm traveling for baseball, probably my favorite city is Boston. It's certainly in the top 2 or 3. And as long as it's not too hot, I'll do the 20-ish, 25-minute walk from where we stay to Fenway Park. And inevitably you pass the school and you always see kids, or adults for that matter, younger than me, out there playing music, sometimes on the street corner, just making money. And they're really, really good too. And it's just, so when you mention that, it just brings back these memories to me. How big of a pivot or a jump was that for you to pursue this dream?
That's a great question, Joel. I definitely, as an 18-year-old coming off of a farm in rural Utah, I would not have been ready for downtown Boston, certainly. So I think for me, one of my favorite quotes is that God paints straight with crooked lines. And I think when I look back at all the moments that I had that kind of led me there, it was better for me to go as an older student. It was better for me to have some direction because it's a big financial investment, and I was able to work and put myself through school, while I was going to school, I worked for a tech company in Oklahoma. But I'm glad you brought up Boston, because I was there when the Sox first won the series, World Series, and I love that city, and there's so much excitement for sports there. And one of my favorite memories of living in Boston was I was with a group that got to sing the national anthem at Fenway. And it was a huge highlight for me. Such a beautiful ballpark and such a wonderful experience to do that.
The best ballpark, in my opinion. And it just, and some of that, it's actually strange. I'm getting off topic here. It's one of the most frequent questions I'm asked, what's your favorite ballpark? Because I've been to all of them, except for the new one in Texas, which we should have been to this year, but we'll get to next year. And it's just, I'm always amazed when you look at the history of that place, because, and you can think about this in terms of being there and singing and all that, because this stadium, and I can never remember if it was a few days after or a few days before, but it was right around the same week that the Titanic sank, that the stadium opened. I mean, this is like an iconic, historic place in the country, whether you like baseball or not. And so there's a feeling when you walk into that place, I don't think I'm just speaking for myself, that I have every time I walk into it, like you're going back in time. And I bring that up because music is all about feeling. You know that as an entertainer, but, and you know that as a consumer of music too. You walk in to a big venue or a small intimate one in Nashville, and there's that feeling of that. And it doesn't even have to be live music, right? I mean, you could be listening in your car or whatever it is. What is it about the feeling of music?
Well, I think music helps us all sort of discover something about ourselves. So I've always said, I think the best songs, they aren't about me, they're about everybody. And one of the keys, I think, to writing hopefully great songs is that I've learned that the more authentic and vulnerable that I'm willing to be in a song when I'm writing it, the more universal it will become. Because I think the human experience is really what music captures. And you and I have had very different paths, and everybody out there who's watching your show. But at the same time, there's so many things that are common. And I think music is one of those things that connects us to how we feel and what we think and what we're experiencing in our lives. And I think that's why it's so powerful. And I consider it to be such a gift to be able to create music that will move people, and that people come up to me afterwards and say, wow, that song really touched my heart. Or you'll be playing and you'll see a tear roll down someone's cheek. And to me, that is the biggest compliment as a songwriter and as an artist to get, is just to know that your music is reaching into someone's heart and touching them in a way that moves them.
Which has to be truly the greatest feeling. I can only relate to it, not even from a TV standpoint, because that's generally after, hey, we watched the broadcast, or hey, what a great game last night. And there's such a high level of frequency of that. But, when I get off the stage, or even now virtually, and you get an email a day, a week later and say, hey, you said something that I now have on a sticky note on my computer, or I keep thinking about so-and-so, or we're all talking about this. And so you have that feeling of having helped someone, which is amazing. But when you've created it like that too, when you're writing these songs, when you're storytelling like you are, it has to be so personal too.
I think it does. And one thing I will say that is a powerful thing, I think, in storytelling for business or storytelling and songwriting, it's about showing, right? Showing something rather than telling something. And I think that if you can do that, that's really a powerful thing. But I think that, Joel, you're a fantastic storyteller in your own right as a professional. And then I've seen you speak to audiences. And I think your willingness to open up and share a part of yourself is really what people respond to. And that becomes a gift that you give people. So I'm putting in a plug for you here, but I think you're an incredible speaker. And I know that I've watched some of those tapes and I've heard you speak. And I think that it takes a lot of courage to put your heart out there and gift that to people. But it's an amazing experience when you can do that, because it does make a difference in people's lives.
Well, you're kind, and I know sincere too. I appreciate it, and it does. I mean, it feels good to be able to make a difference. It feels good to be able to take what you're passionate about and use it to help others. I wish I had your music talent, because I don't know that I ever told you this, but I grew up in a music household. My mom was a music major. She was a music teacher, and then she had my brother and I, and stopped teaching, and then ended up going back to school and taking a different career path, a very successful one, in a completely unrelated field. But I always sort of had that, and she would tell me I just should have practiced more, I guess. But I always wanted to be more involved in music, and I never went down that path. My daughter's doing that right now in terms of theater and music, and it's just, you could see the passion in the way that it pulls people, and the joy it brings, not just to others, to yourself too. I mean, I know that the goal is to entertain and to help others, but now you're taking all of this. Actually, before I talk about this amazing endeavor you're on, let's just do a little bit of name dropping, just because I'm asking you to do it. You're not saying to do it, but people are interested in that kind of stuff. Who are some of the biggest names and some of your favorite people that you've worked with?
So I've met a lot of famous people in town, and a lot of those people I've met at the Opry, backstage at the Opry. So I've met Dierks Bentley, and I've met Vince Gill, and I've met a lot of different people backstage, and everybody is. I think country music in general is a very approachable kind of genre. And we've joked before that, CMA Fest, which usually happens every year in Nashville, it's this kind of gathering of the tribes for all these different artists. And, people love it, and they have a great time, and they get to connect with these artists one-on-one. And country music is the only genre that I think that would work in, because can you imagine doing that with rap music, or, it's just, country music has this feel of the person on stage is up there because they're one of you. And that kind of connectedness with the audience is really what makes it so special. For me, I love meeting the artists. I've met Dolly Parton. Who hasn't loved Dolly Parton in their life? And so I think the artists are fantastic, and it's been a pleasure to meet them. On the other hand, my famous people have been the people that have written the songs that most people don't even know who they are, right? But when I've sat down to write with Casey Kelly, who wrote The Cowboy Rides Away, when I've sat down to write with my friend Jan, who wrote hits for Whitney Houston and Pam Tillis and so many other artists, those are the people that I feel like I just feel so honored to be in their presence, because they're masters at their craft. Mm-hmm. And it's like playing baseball with someone who's a lot better than you are. Mm-hmm. You always kind of level up, and you push yourself a little harder. And I'm just so grateful for those experiences. So for me, a lot of the pinch me moments have been, oh my gosh, I'm sitting in the room with this person who wrote this song that I would listen to on repeat over and over again when I was growing up. But certainly Nashville, one great thing about Nashville is you see famous people, and the people who live in Nashville respect their privacy. Mm-hmm. So, you'll see Keith Urban and Nicole Kidman at Whole Foods, and it's just hey, everybody just kind of lets them be who they are. And They don't, ask for autographs or photos or anything. So I think that's one thing about Nashville that I feel like is kind of neat and unique.
A couple things there. One, uh, everybody loved Dolly until maybe last week. Kudos to her for speaking her mind and saying, you know what, this is what I believe in. And so, she's, I used the word icon before.
Mm-hmm.
She would be in the status of a Fenway Park, not as old, but I mean, here she is. She's still making an impact in the world. She's I will tell you that for the most part, my wife does not like country music. There are a few, but and I like everything. So I can flip between rap to country to rock to whatever, gospel. Even on a Sunday morning, I'll be listening to just like what I call my Sunday brunch playlist. I'm driving into the stadium, just kind of getting in that relaxed mood. But you mentioned the name Dolly to my wife, and she's like, I just love her so much. And I think that's what everybody is. So that just my mind went there. And then when you're talking about songwriters and the craft, I think so much about, and I talk about this to groups too, like it's not always the person that's quote unquote in front of the camera or the superstar musician or the star athlete. If people could see the amount of prep work and the tiniest of little details that go into, say, a hitting coach studying a swing, things that most of us wouldn't even see, or a pitching coach looking at different angles and different movement and all this, and you don't see that behind the scenes. So I have a great appreciation for what you're talking about, even if I couldn't do it myself. I understand. I put it this way: if our director or our producer on TV weren't here today, if our graphics person didn't show, if our audio person didn't show, and let's say we replaced them with someone that wasn't very good, you would notice at home. You might not know what was exactly wrong. It just wouldn't feel right. And I'm guessing that there's some similarities there.
Absolutely, Joel. So I think that the thing that comes to mind is, in baseball and in business and in music, it takes a village, right? So it's every time you see an artist up on stage, there's been hours of practice. There's been a lot of people involved in getting them to that place. The same with sports. I think people don't always appreciate the amount of work that goes on behind the scenes because all they see is what's in front of the camera. They don't see the hours of practice. They don't see all the technical pieces that go into it. And but to make a well-oiled machine that you see on TV and to make that performer successful on stage, there's a lot of people involved. And I think that if you realize that early in your life that nobody gets there alone, and if you're committed to that, then you have a much better ride because you appreciate those around you. And I think that that's something we all enjoy, is to be appreciated and recognized for the contributions that we make.
No question about it. And so you have all of that experience. You've been on both sides of it. You can grab that guitar and go play anywhere, anytime. You could write that music. You're a storyteller, but you're also someone that I know has a big heart, and I want to talk. And it's the biggest reason why. Well, shoot, I would have had you on anyway. But this is a great opportunity to talk about this project right now, Addiction Recovery Music Project. Tell me about what it is and why you went there.
So what it is it's going to be a collection of songs, 9 songs that I will record that really kind of tell the story of addiction in 9 songs. So it starts with songs that are really kind of in that raw place of addiction. And then as the album continues, it moves into self-discovery and rediscovering your self-worth. And then at the end, it caps off with a song that's about community and about, helping each other. And so the reason I went there is for years, I feel like I tend to write songs that some people won't.
Mhm.
And I think that's because I just believe in being honest about what I see in the world. And I don't write songs about, I'm not the party truck song person. And there's nothing wrong with those songs, but that's just not who I am, because I have seen the impact of addiction, and I'm more likely to write about the honest experiences of what addiction does to a person, to a family, than I am to write about, let's go out and all get hammered. That's just who I am as a person. So, my mom and I were talking about addiction one day fairly recently, because I kept seeing with COVID, there's all these headlines,
Mhm.
you know, being isolated, the economic uncertainty, the stress, all of those things are triggers for people with addictions. And I kept seeing, increasing in addiction, and this is compounding the addiction problem. And I thought, this is really the time that I need to do something about this. And one day my mom and I were talking about addicts and addiction, and she said, well, Shantell, all the addicts are in the cemetery.
Mhm.
And that really hit me hard, because what I've experienced with addiction is losing family members to it. And unfortunately, that is a problem in my family. And I think it's a problem in a lot of families. And I've, even being in Nashville, I've met a lot of songwriters, and I've written with a lot of songwriters who have struggled with addiction. It's a real problem. And I think we may not all be addicts, but I think we can all understand trying to fill ourselves with unhealthy things. And I just feel like these songs that I've written with these folks, with these personal experiences, the experiences that I've had in my family, I really want to bring this project into the hearts and the homes of people that it can help. And so that's really the genesis of this project. And what we're doing, and I know you have the link up, is I've got this site up, and this is my website, but this page is called the Angels page, and it has information there about the project. It has some song samples there. It has some articles, what COVID's doing to the addiction crisis. And then there's an opportunity to support the project. And I always like to say, to just be very upfront, there's no profit in this for me at all. This is about giving back and doing something positive in the world to help people and to share these stories. And so I kept costs very low. And so far, I've raised about half of the funding that I need to record and release this project. So I'm hopeful that those listening will be moved by this opportunity and will consider making a donation on the page.
Right, and any donation helps. And to take it a step further, there's a good chance that anyone that is watching here right now, in some form or another, has been touched by addiction. Unfortunately, that's the way of the world right now. And if you haven't been, thankfully, if you haven't been, you've certainly been touched by COVID. And
Mhm.
I've said this over and over again. It doesn't matter what you believe in. I wish that we weren't in such a political time where a debate over health has fallen under which side are you on. I will remind all of us that it never hurts to take care of each other, well, whatever our beliefs are. So I don't mean to be too preachy here. I get going on that every now and then, but we all know that our lives have been affected by COVID. That's regardless of what you think about it. It has. There's been a major disruption here. And with that disruption becomes a lot of concern about mental health, and then potentially leading to addiction and all of that, what you spoke about. So what has the response been? You said that you have received about half of that funding so far. So that certainly sounds encouraging to me. What have you
Yeah.
heard from people?
Well, so I think people are being very responsive, and it's touching people. I one family that I knew personally reached out to them, and their son's been in and out of rehab over and over again in his life. And I asked them how he was doing, and they said, thankfully, during COVID, he's still doing okay. And, they made a generous donation. And there's been a lot of people who, maybe they're doing it in memory of someone they've lost. Maybe they're doing it to help someone in the future. But, so far, just over $1,700 raised, which I'm just so grateful for. And looking for about $3,500 to be able to finish recording, or to record the project and then release it. So we're about halfway there, and just grateful for the support, and truly believe that this is such a positive thing, that the right people will come forward and support the project and help us get these songs out.
I'm going to quickly share, and we've been putting up the website, but just so people can see a little bit of Shantell's site and the Addiction Recovery Music Project. I'd encourage everybody to go there too, because she's got an amazing video here. You shared that with me, I think, back in July. You can check out some of the songs. You can make that donation. You can get any questions that you might have would be answered too. And so, trust me, when I say this about Shantell, and I say it in the greatest of ways, she doesn't miss details. You are a detail-oriented and extremely organized person, which oftentimes, I'm not. I wish that I had more of that. And so I'm not the least bit surprised that you have all your ducks in a row. I think that, me, I'm like, let's go, let's jump into things. I would have had you on like, a month ago, but that's me. Like, I'm like, go. And not that you're not, but you know exactly what I'm saying. I'm making fun of myself and really crediting you on that one. But this really, and I was thinking about this. I'm guessing that everything you write, whether it be for someone else or for yourself, is personal in some form or another. Does this feel different to you, or does it feel like, is that what you're usually looking for as a songwriter? I mean, now this is a cause, but then again, you're always trying to tug at people's hearts as a songwriter anyway.
I think that's a great point. And to make sure that these songs are really authentic, I did write with people that had first-person experiences with addiction, who had gone through the 12 steps themselves, who had struggled with it themselves. And then, in addition to that, I sent the work tapes, so the very rough recordings of these songs, to a couple people who had gone through addiction, who are still in recovery, of course, and had them listen to the songs and give me feedback on whether or not these songs were really landing in their hearts. And, a couple of those people were in the Kansas City area and mutual friends of ours and Randy's. So for me, when I kind of got the thumbs up from them, and we've played some of these songs out at places where, there were addiction recovery groups, the response has been very positive, because I think we have worked so hard to be honest in what we were seeing and what we were feeling, and tried to put as much truth in it as possible. And that to me is really the key to any song, is just, if you're willing to be honest, people can see through it if you're not, but if you're willing to be honest, it will touch somebody's heart. And that's really the goal of this project, is just to touch and heal hearts.
So, you ready to play a little something for us? I feel like I feel like the late night talk show host, bringing on the music guest now. So, here's what I'm going to do. This is not easy for me. I am going to shut up.
I thought you said you were going to sing harmonies. That was what I was waiting for. It's going to be easy for me. I don't know the song, but I'm going to sing some harmonies.
You have no idea how much I would love to do that, and you have very much the idea of why I shouldn't do that. So no, I'm gonna put the single shot on you. I'm gonna shut up. We're going to enjoy a little bit of music, which is awesome. And so, what are you playing here anyway?
So I'm going to play one of the songs from the project. I'm just going to play a verse and chorus for you to get a sense of the kinds of songs that are going to be on this project, the music addiction or the music recovery project. So yeah, it's called One Step Closer. I wrote it with my friends in Nashville, Trey Bruce and Bill DeLuigi, and just good friends and good people, and really have a heart for this project on a personal level as well. So this is One Step Closer.
Take it away.
I don't stop by my old bar to sit and have a Coke. That'd be like quitting cigarettes, bringing someone else's smoke. That kind of crazy isn't driving me lately. God knew I'd need a miracle to finally admit that bottle had a better hold on me than I did it. God did what I can't. Now it's out of my hands. My new friends tell me there's a list of stuff to do. One day at a time is what it takes to get you through. I feel the healing starting, the burden's far from over. But every day, I'm one step closer. I'm one step closer.
Beautiful. That was all.
Yeah.
Maybe just come hang out every day, Shantell. And,
I would love that, Joel. I would love that.
Now,
I love watching the guests you have. You have so many interesting people that you talk with, and I've learned a lot by watching your
thank you
shows. Yeah.
Well, that was amazing. That was an absolute highlight. And from a marketing standpoint, in your marketing hat, one of my big, I shouldn't say struggles. I've got an amazing marketing person, but with the amount of content, it's keeping it all, organized. And it's like, what do I want to pull from this interview to share with people later? And sometimes it's a couple days later, sometimes it's a week later because I'm unorganized. And and I'm constantly, if people see me looking down a little bit, and this is a fairly small operation that I'm running here, I'm constantly typing up different time codes of when there's a soundbite I might want to share. But that one was easy. I'm just going to say, like, let's just pull that clip and play the song, which is amazing. I want to share a couple of comments. I was hoping he was watching. I didn't ever get a chance to tell him, but Mike Meyer, whose family, they're going on to a third generation. He's second generation. Meyer Music. They've been providing instruments for kids here in the area for a long time. And then his organization, Band of Angels, as I mentioned at the top of the show, and I'm wearing this T-shirt, provides oftentimes underprivileged kids who want that opportunity but don't have it. They do such an amazing job, and it's storytelling. It pulls at your heartstrings. Mike, by the way, can't get through any one of these without tears coming down, and I say that he's going to go like this right now, but he knows it's true. So Mike just commented, "Thank you, Shantell, for sharing the music. Music truly heals. Keep changing the world one note at a time." I got to connect you two if you haven't met yet.
That just chills. That made my whole day. Thank you so much for saying that.
Mike is as good of a guy as they come. Jeffrey Lodick, great points and good morning. Jeffrey's down in Florida. I will forgive his Yankee allegiances, but that is okay. And my good friend Kiana says, Whitney was a bad sister, and we know that is true. And then I believe maybe a friend of yours saying, great to see you, Shantell. So it's fun to see everybody clicking in, and hopefully more will watch later. But let's wrap it up. I'm so excited because that was beautiful. It was amazing. And I just want to encourage everybody, Doesn't have to be a major donation, but just jump in there. You've got a chance to help with this project, which will help in terms of addiction recovery. And I'll tell you what, this, let me pop this up again, has to feel good, doesn't it?
I think anytime you can help. I mean, I think we all have different ways that we reach out in the world, and for me, this is it's a joy to be able to use something that I love to hopefully touch lives and heal hearts. One thing I will say is, you do, for each donation you receive, right? So it's not just a black hole that you're giving into. For each different level, there are different benefits that you receive, whether it be a signed autographed album or at the higher levels, I'll even perform for the organization of your choice if you want to sponsor at that level, to actually perform the songs and share the stories behind them at a group of your choice, or for even a person of your choice. So there are benefits, and I think that it's there's so many good things in the world, so many good causes. I'm just
Sure.
excited to be part of this and to bring these songs to life in the studio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I want to reiterate that to people, if you're watching right now or later, which would be now if you're watching it, I guess. But 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 Chantel's very accessible, and so reach out through the website. And yes, yeah, I think that groups can book you involved with this cause. So could they do that virtually or no? I mean, would you perform
Yeah.
virtually or?
I mean, absolutely. So I have a contact form on my website. It comes directly to me. Of course, like you, I have all the different social channels. I'm not hard to find.
Nope.
Please reach out and say hello. I love to hear from people and get to know them. So that's really, to me, what social media is all about. And ultimately, I can't do what I do without you, and without people like you, and without people out there who love music. So really do appreciate all the support that I've been blessed with.
ShantellOgden.com/angels, or you can just go to ShantellOgden.com. You'll find it. Support the project, support Shantell. Amazing cause. And first and foremost, I'm grateful that you came on the show, but really, really excited and pumped up that you were able to give us a little bit of a live taste of that. I was just like kicking back and just chilling and listening. So beautiful, beautiful song, phenomenal work. I'm really appreciative of the connection that we have now and have over the last few months. Thank you again to Randy Powell for that. Keep doing what you're doing. And I can't wait to see you, whether it's in Kansas City or we're going to get back to Nashville at some point when things are a little bit more safe and calm. And hopefully you can give us some of those secrets of Nashville off Broadway.
Would love to. Thanks so much for your time today, Joel. This was just a real enjoyable morning. Thank you.
The feeling is mutual. Again, don't forget ShantellOgden.com/angels. Hang tight for a second, Shantell, and really appreciate it and for sharing everything too. So that's going to do it for another episode of Rounding the Bases Live, presented by Enterprise Bank and Trust, coming to you from the KCAV studios, Kansas City audio visual. You got needs. I mean, even like a scoreboard, they could do something like that. I mention that all the time. It doesn't have to be sports. The coolest offices, they've designed those, and they can take care of any one of your audio and visual needs. And Enterprise Bank and Trust, what amazing partners in supporting Rounding the Bases Live. So I'm grateful for them, and to you all for watching. Tomorrow is episode 67108. I hope everyone has a great Tuesday, and thanks for watching Rounding the Bases Live, presented by Enterprise Bank and Trust.